Hey friends, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. Hope you're having a fabulous day. Got a quick tip for you, how to get some wider vocals, wider background vocals, specifically in your mix. And this is helpful if you've got background vocals that sound cool and they're EQ'd well, but they're just, you wish they stood out of the speakers a little bit so you'd have more separation, just a bigger wall of sound. And I'm going to show you two ways to do it. One's kind of an obvious way, and one's a little simple trick that you can do with any plugin, really. So here's a song that we were mixing recently for Dueling Mixes. This is an old song my band did. It's very Christmassy, so it's very appropriate if you're watching this when the video first went live. So here's the breakdown in the middle of the song where there's a lead vocal and some gang vocals come in on the left, right, and up the center.
Glory to God in the highest. Oh.
Lead vocal here.
Glory to God in the highest. The angels sing. Glory to God in the highest. The Lord.
These are the gangs.
Glory to God in the highest.
All right. So what I want is these gang vocals to kind of jump out a little bit more. They sound cool as they are here.
Glory to God in the highest.
If I turn them up, I've got them all on one fader here. If I turn them up a couple of dB, they're louder, which is cooler.
Glory to God in the highest.
But they're not wider. I hear them a little bit more, but they're still kind of taking up the same general space. So I'll bring them back down to where they were. And there's two ways to get vocals to sound wider. One is the obvious way, which is if your DAW happens to have a stereo widening plugin, which many of them do. Yours may not. So I'm going to show that way first because it's the fast, obvious way. In Pro Tools, there is a stereo width plugin, okay? A lot of DAWs have something like this, and they do slightly different things. Some have more control than others. Studio One has a binaural pan plugin, which is super cool. You don't have a lot of tweakability on it, just sort of one width knob, but that's a great one too. In this case, I've grabbed the plugin, and I've taken the width from 100%, and this is on. So you know, the three gang vocal tracks are fed into this yellow bus here, so I can affect them as a whole. So I've basically taken all three of those gang vocals and I'm making them 150% wider than they are. So I've got one hard left, one hard right, and one up the middle, and this is making them a little bit wider. And then the only thing I've changed is I've basically said, don't process any of the low end. I don't know what frequency cutoff that is, but I've said don't widen any of the low end, just widen the mids and the highs. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't like a lot of low end to exist on the outside of my mix. I like that all to kind of be centered. That's where the bass is, that's where the kick drum is. And all I want is the perceived vocal, like the mid frequencies, highs that we hear and perceive of a vocal to be on the outside. So I don't mind widening, but I would prefer it to be just the mids and highs. And that gives you more width, which is really, really cool. So take a listen in context to the gang vocals and listen to when I kick on the stereo widening plugin, how they kind of jump out of the speakers a bit.
Glory to God in the highest. Oh. Glory to God in the highest. The angels sing. Glory to God in the highest. The Lord. Glory to God in the highest.
Did you catch that? Pretty subtle. Let's loop it. And we'll do it faster. So, no widening, and then we'll kick on the widening.
Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest.
If you're listening on headphones or on good speakers, you notice it, but it's this nice subtle difference. It pushes the gang vocals out a bit So I hear them clearly, and it doesn't overlap my lead vocal up the middle. Now, if you're astute, you will notice and hear that this is actually making the gang vocal track a little bit louder, because a stereo widening plugin, in essence, is going to try to do some mid-side processing and take the outside part of the stereo track and turn it up so it seems wider in comparison to the stuff in the middle. And this can be kind of faked by using an EQ, okay? So if you don't have a stereo widening plugin, just slap an EQ on there. And what I've done is done a very long, gentle wide Q shelf boost that's trying to cover, you know, it's 1.8 is the point, but the Q makes it so low, it goes all the way down under 1,000 hertz to make this little bit of a bump, to just bump up all the mids, high mids, and highs. And then I've ducked out a little bit here in the low mids that could get woofy. And so it's a little bit of a volume boost in the mids and the highs, which is interesting. It's not quite what the stereo plugin was doing, but we were basically saying widen or increase the perceived volume of the mids and the highs on the outside, and with the widening plugin, and that's what we're doing kind of with the EQ here. So listen to the effect. It's very similar. So I'm going to turn it off, make sure our widening plugin is not on. Okay, yeah. So here are the gain vocals before, and then I'll have it looped, and I'll turn them on afterwards with the EQ.
Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest.
Similar. It almost fools your ear into having the same vibe as the stereo widening plugin. So we'll go back and forth. I'll basically just turn on one with the stereo widener and then one with just the EQ and see if we can tell the difference. So here's the stereo widener.
Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest. Glory to God in the highest.
Almost can't tell the difference, and both are better than this.
Glory to God in the highest.
Where it's a little more buried. So that gives you two different ways to try to increase the apparent width of your background vocals. You don't want a lot of low end boosted. You just want them to just stick out a smidge on the side so that the lead vocal is intelligible, nothing overlaps. And this would be an afterthought to good EQ and compression. If you just need them to poke out a bit more, grab a width plugin and just to work on the highs and the mids, or grab an EQ and try to do a low, mid to high shelf boost, and try not to boost any low end, or cut out some low end if it's boosting too much of that, and see if that doesn't give you a little bit more pop. Very, very simple concept, and it just gives you a little bit of extra edge on your background vocals. This could be harmonies. It doesn't have to be gang vocals. You just want things to hang out on the outside a bit more if just turning them up in general is not the right trick. Hope that helps. Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. Have a wonderful week. Subscribe to the videos if you like them, and I will see you on another video soon. Take care.